My YouTube peeps, welcome back. Yours truly, once again, to another episode of Marv's Room. Listen, I wanted to jump on here today and make this video to talk to you guys about a realization I had quite some time ago. And it's a very simple realization, but I feel like it gets lost in the matrix of things. It gets lost in the simplicity of things because human beings, I think we're wired to make things difficult instead of understanding that life really is extremely simple. But we think, oh, it can't be that easy. Life can't be that simple. But life really is that simple. We just make it complicated because we get in our own way. And so I realized one morning, you know how when you guys wake up at like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, whatever, you're just thinking. If that happens to some of you guys, I don't know, that happens to me a lot. I wake up in the morning time, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. I'm just laying in my bed and I'm just thinking about random shit. I was like, what matters? Why do people struggle so much? And I realized so many people struggle because they refuse to let go of the identity that they created based on past events, right? So I thought about it when I was laying in bed one night and I was like, does that really matter? And then you know what like smacked me right in my face like a 18-wheeler on a 95, just boom, smacked me in my face. I realized and it hit me that life is meant to be lived to be forgotten. Literally, life is meant to be lived to be forgotten. And when that thought crossed my mind, it was an aha moment like Oprah. Like Oprah always says, aha, I was just like, wow, like the light bulb just went off. And I thought about it and I was like, man, life really is lived. Like life is meant to be lived to be forgotten. And I forget where I was watching this from, but there was basically like some sort of science. It was a scientist, neuroscientist or a neuro person, somebody that dealt with the brain. And they were basically talking about, and this was a while ago, this was years ago, they were basically talking about how the brain is made, the way the brain is made, it's meant to store stuff, obviously, but the brain is also mainly created to forget a lot of things. And then I thought about it when I was laying in bed and I was like, most of the stuff we go through in life, we forget it. Doesn't matter what it is. It's natural. It's the way the brain works. As the neuro person, I wish I could remember who was saying this, but most of the stuff we go through in life, I'd say 80%, maybe even higher than that, 90% maybe of the stuff we go through in life, we really don't remember any of it. And this realization that I had really helped me take the anxiety and stress off of my shoulders, because me understanding that, I realized don't none of this stuff matter. Don't none of this, but we make it matter. And this is why we struggle so much. This is why we, can't manifest. This is why things don't happen fast. It's because we put so much emphasis on everything from the past. We put so much emphasis on things that we remember. We put so much emphasis on, I got to be married before I'm 25 or by the time I'm 25, because I know that's a thing in certain cultures. I got to get my SP back. I got to have kids before I'm 30. I got to get married before I'm 30. Oh, I'm in my 30s. Time's running out. You know what I'm saying? But I realized don't none of this stuff matter. 50 years from now, 100 years from now, 200 years from now, 500 years from now, even with social media and the internet being around, do you understand nobody is going to be talking about the fact that you didn't get married by the time you were 25? Nobody's going to be talking about this video that I'm making right now, 2,000 years from now. How many people do we still talk about today in 2022? How many people do we still talk about from 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago? Very few, handful, maybe two handful. If you really want to learn about those people, you got to do your own research. You got to do your own digging. And so I'm thinking about this. All of these things are conflating in my mind and I'm putting it together and I'm thinking to myself, man, don't none of this matter. This weight is being lifted off of my shoulder because it's basically false expectations you're putting on yourself from a worldly perspective, trying to do things in a worldly way trying to get worldly results, worldly outcomes, things that are in vain, things that don't really mean nothing. And it's like, okay, you can do well and have these material things on earth, but if it doesn't come at the exact moment you want it to come, it's not a big deal. If it doesn't come within the next year, it's not a big deal. Nobody's going to be telling your story, like I said, years from now. Because let's face it, once you pass, once you pass away, people might be sad for the first year, 2 years, whatever the case may be. Everybody's different. But pretty soon, the pain that you felt when a bad event occurred, that pain doesn't feel the same necessarily, 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later. But it's the person. It's based on the person. The person is the one that gets to determine how long they're going to hold on to some pain, how long they're going to hold on to some trauma. And they never get to the next level. They can never, whether it's manifesting, whether it's whatever, they can never get to that point. It's because they're holding on because they feel like that's their power. I'm going to hold on to all of this stuff that happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I'm going to hold on to that because that's my identity. I built my whole identity around that pain, that trauma. I don't know who I am outside of that pain or that trauma. So I'm going to hold on to that. And that's going to hinder me. I'm in mental handcuffs now. That's going to hinder me from moving to the next level, from getting past that hurdle to being able to be a powerful manifester in life because I'm holding on to something that I feel like was taken away from me at one point in my life. And like I said, me having this realization that life is meant to be lived to be forgotten, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, this is why people suffer, is because they remember. They remember. They refuse to forget. They refuse to forget. They're holding on to something that really don't mean nothing, that will eventually be forgotten in time. Because as time goes on, you notice we stop talking about things that happened years prior. We don't talk about certain things the way we used to talk about it. We don't talk about slavery as much as we used to talk about it years ago. People don't talk about these traumatic events that happen in history the way we used to talk about them, the way we used to teach about it in school. Everything in time and space eventually at some point is going to be forgotten, and it happens at rapid paces. You know what I mean? Think about in your own life, people that loved ones that have came and went. Think about how much it hurt in the beginning, and then think about 10, 20 years later, it don't really feel as bad as it did when it first originally happened. For the people that it still feels bad, those are the people that, like I said a little bit earlier in this video, those are the people that are still choosing to hold on to that pain and that trauma, and because they built their identity around it. And they're like, oh, I want to hold on to that. I want to honor that. I want to honor that person. I want to honor them, whatever. But when you do those things the wrong way, in my opinion, that's when you become your own enemy. You become your own slave master up here. And so when you realize and live your life based on the premise of life is meant to be lived to be forgotten, I think you get rid of those mental handcuffs. You realize, me holding on to this stuff don't matter. Because like I said, do you remember what you ate? Last year on this very day, unless it was your birthday, then of course you're going to remember. But do you really remember what you ate on this exact day last year on your birthday? Do you remember what you ate in 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade on this exact day? All those years ago? Do you remember that? Do you remember what you were doing at your job on this day back in 2005? Back in 2000? Do you remember that? Do you remember? Do you remember what your manager said to you on this day at your job? Do you remember how you felt back in 1992, 93, 94? Most of this stuff we don't remember. So many things in life. Life is just a sequence and a series of events that we will forget. There's so much stuff that has happened to me in my life. I don't even remember that it happened until I actually start talking about it or until somebody brings it up and I'm like, oh, shoot, I remember that happened. There's so many things in my life, even with a specific person, I forgot happened because I let it go. And then when I'm talking about something or somebody says something and then I think about it, I'm like, oh, shoot, that happened to me. But guess what? I guarantee I'm going to forget it again because of, like I said, how the brain works. The brain is meant to forget stuff. The brain is not meant to remember necessarily everything you go through in life. Only time we really remember stuff is when it's like a really super traumatic event, a dramatic event, things that we, things like weddings, things that mean something, things that have a significance to us because we decide what we give meaning to. It's not the event. There's people that get married and they give great meaning to that. And then there's people that get married and they give no meaning to it. They forget their wedding ceremony. They forget the song that was played at the wedding ceremony. They forget what was served, what food was eaten. They don't even remember that shit. You know? And then there's people that remember every little detail because they're choosing to remember every detail. It's a choice. So I want you guys to really pick up what I'm putting down in this video to understand you're suffering. You cannot manifest. You're hurting because you don't understand the principle that life is meant to be lived, to be forgotten. Stop remembering all of this crazy shit that you've gone through, that you've been through, and let that shit go. like I'm thinking about these Disney movies and some of these other movies I've seen, like that, the song in Frozen, let it go, let it go. Like that shit's real. You can learn from that shit. I'm somebody, I learn from everything. I'm not arrogant to the point to where I know I can't learn from a movie, a Disney movie, or this movie, or this person or that person, a 5-year-old kid. I can learn from everybody. Everybody's my teacher. You know what I'm saying? So I want you guys to understand that life is meant to be lived, to be forgotten. Stay in the present moment. Get out of the past. Don't worry about the future. The only thing that's real is now. And the reason you keep reliving the past is because up here you're in mental handcuffs. You keep replaying that. You're stuck in it. To become a powerful manifester, like Neville talks about, you gotta stop being the old man. You gotta stop living in the past. You gotta stop thinking about the past. And as time goes on, the funny thing is, naturally, we all forget the past. We just don't realize it. But once you consciously realize it and you consciously start to work on forgetting stuff, because we naturally forget. Because like I said earlier, we don't remember what we did last year, last month. We don't remember what we ate 2 months ago on this day. We don't remember what we were doing 2 months ago on this day, unless it was of some significance that we gave to that day, that moment. We don't remember, you know? So I want you guys to really think about, is this something you're struggling with? Are you struggling with understanding that life is meant to be lived, to be forgotten? Stop trying to hold on to all of these memories and different things and, you know, things that matter from the past and, you know, especially things that hurt you. This is really what I'm talking about, especially things that hurt you. You know, I think this is the key piece, because obviously memories are good. Memories are really all we have, especially of loved ones and all that type of stuff. But I'm really speaking to letting go of the negativity, the old man, as we just said, the old man, the old person you were, the old thoughts you were, the damage that was done. I'm talking about letting go of that, because it's like I said, life is meant to be forgotten. Nobody really cares about myself. Nobody cares about whoever you may be watching this video. Like I said, 5,000 years from now, all of this stuff is going to be wiped out. Nobody's going to be talking about this YouTuber was the best YouTuber. Nobody's going to be talking about, oh, this entertainer was the best entertainer. Oh, Michael Jackson was the best entertainer. Michael Jordan was the best basketball player. Tom Brady was the best football player. Beyonce was the biggest singer in the world. Jay-Z was the best rapper. Nobody's gonna be talking about that 5,000 years from now, 1,000 years from now, 2,000. Nobody's gonna be talking about that, because it doesn't matter, because life is meant to be lived, to be forgotten. It's all about the now. Who's hot now? This is what we're worried about. This is why trends come and go, because nobody really cares about a trend that happened 20, 30 years ago, 100 years ago, a trend that happened 2,000 years ago. Nobody cares. It's always about what's now. So what that means is, if it's always about now, this means everybody's going to be forgotten about, basically. People only care about what's happening now. Why is Kanye West a big deal right now? Because Kanye West is saying stuff that people are hearing now. But guess what? A year from now, 6 months from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, 100 years from now, nobody's going to be talking about, oh, Kanye West said this on the news. Nobody's going to be talking about that. Nobody's going to be talking about that. Nobody's going to care, because people are going to care about what's going on in that time period. People are going to care about what's going on 1,000 years from now. Whatever's going on 1,000 years from now, that's what people are going to be talking about. That's what people are going to care about. Whatever's going on 2,000 years from now, that's what's going to be the hot topic. Nobody's going to be like, oh, yo, you remember 3,000 years ago Kanye West said some anti-Semitic statements? Nobody's going to care about, oh, do you remember 2,000 years ago when that cop knelt his knee on that black guy's neck Oh, do you remember that? Do you remember when he killed that guy? 2000. Nobody's gonna be talking about that 2,000 years ago. So don't get caught up. Don't get lost in the sauce of thinking, yo, all of this stuff matters. All of this stuff don't matter. And I think when you can really get this, I think you will really understand creation and understanding like, okay, I created it, let it go. Okay, this happened. Okay, now I gotta let this go. Okay, this happened, let it go. And I think this is where animals succeed past humans, because when stuff happens to animals, they don't have the mental faculties we have. So animals just literally let stuff go. Their newborn could get killed. They could see something happen. They could get hit by a car. A deer could see, get hit by a car. It's like, okay, it happened. Move on to the next one. It happened. Okay, move on to the next one. Okay, I created this over here. This was bad. I got to move on to the next one. Okay, I created this over here. Okay, this was good, but still, even though I created this, I got to move on to the next one. And this is why geniuses and inventors are so great at creating, manifesting things, is because they don't stay stuck in the past. Elon Musk says, yo, I created this. Okay, I created PayPal. That's cool. I don't care about PayPal. I'm creating SpaceX now. Okay, I created SpaceX now. Now I'm on to the next one. You know what I mean? This is why these guys are such powerful creators, because they don't stay in the past. They create some epic shit, and then they move on to the next epic shit and create, and then they forget about, they just let that shit run. It's on autopilot. It's autonomous. So I want you guys to get this lesson. This is some real shit I'm saying right here. If you watch this whole video and understand what I'm saying, you're going to get some gems, because this is all about creating. This is all about letting go, understanding that life is meant to be lived, to be forgotten. Stop holding on to the past. Manifest your shit, create it, let it become autonomous, move on to the next thing. Whether it's good or bad, create that shit, move on to the next thing. And the more you do that, the faster you'll get at it, the better you'll get at it. And you'll start to see out of nowhere, oh shit, now I'm a powerful manifester. All right? It's been your man Marv, man. Once again, back with that fire, that flame. Marvin's Room.